Hello? Yeah, it's working. Nice. It's a long walk. Hello, everybody. Great to be here. Have you had any international speakers today, English-speaking people, or only Portuguese? I'm the first one who's going to break it. Hello. Let me quickly introduce myself. I'm Yuka. I'm the Chief Creative Officer at MediaMonks, or now Monks. We are, for the ones that don't know us, we are a digital native creative and technology company, basically doing everything around creativity in the technology space with a digital DNA. I'm also probably one of the few and far between, because I'm with one company for 19 years, which is a very long thing for creatives, I think, because we always like to hop around. So I actually joined MediaMonks when I was this little kid, a lot of hair, and I grew with the company. And the company went through a lot of different cycles of companies. So actually, instead of one, we were kind of more 5 companies. Because a lot of things happened during our existence. We grew, a lot of other companies joined us, and also, and that's probably why I lost a lot of hair, there were a lot of different disruptions, specifically around technology, that created a lot of creative opportunity for us, opportunity for our industry as well. I started before social was even a thing, so I grew a lot with social, mobile. For the geeks out there, Flash was a big thing. It came up, did a lot of great stuff, and then it went away because of the mobile, Apple basically. And obviously Metaverse, NFT, Web3, all of that, all really great opportunities, and obviously since 2022, it was around earlier, but now it was mess, it is inevitably AI. It's here, and it creates a lot of great opportunity, and all of these steps were amazing for us. It did great things, but also created a lot of hassle. Because every year we're like, what the fuck? Another thing we need to adapt to, adhere to, another thing to make us as a company disruptive. And that is an interesting space, because that moment, that feeling of what the fuck, is a bit of what I call a Black Mirror effect. A Black Mirror effect of insecurity, anxiety, complexity, things that we as creatives constantly need to adhere to and change our jobs. And it's not only us, it's like clients probably even more so. You need to bring them along. And it's a human behavior, because we like to default in this kind of state the moment change come in. We hate change as humans, as human beings. But the interesting thing in our career is that there's also a white canvas that allows for new opportunities, new possibilities, and specifically in the creative space, a lot of amazing creative opportunities to play with. Because it's that excitement that brings and unlocks new possibilities, and that pushes us forward if it comes to progress. Creative progress that we have to make in our company, we have to make in our industry and in our own careers. Because there's a lot of stagnation happening, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. But the amazing thing for us, and for me as a creative, but also us as a company, is that this technology component has really brought a lot of unimaginable progress to our creativity. There's a lot of amazing stuff we've done, and every time new technology came alive, we had a huge opportunity to create probably the most creative eras. Around 2010, 2015 is a space where I think specifically the digital creative industry has been really, really successful, and it's probably at their most creative. We were playing around, we were fooling around, we were breaking things, we were pushing things, new technology came into play. For us as a company, this became the moment that we actually basically created our fame. This is the moment where we showed our differentiation, where we stood out against the competition, and also played around a lot with existing channels or new channels like a YouTube. We basically literally broke YouTube, and it created a lot of regulations, but also the industry as a whole did amazing creative work there. We really went from the static creative formats into more interactive places. We started playing and really showed the potential of digital in that era. The downside, however, is that quickly after that, it got followed up by the least creative era. I think we saw a stagnation again into a place that mainly drives around one-size-fits-all static storytelling. A lot of film, It was only accompanied now with more the lower funnel performance ads. Lots of buy nows, lots of clicks. This really didn't do a good job with our creative minds and creative space. Even though a lot of amazing films are made, obviously, and great creative made in those formats, it didn't really push us forward. So personally, I was really lucky when end of the 2010s, around the 2020s, Metaverse came around, Web3, all of these new opportunities, everybody jumped on it again. And I think, again, we as a company, but also as an industry, amazing work was created in this really small pocket. This was a smaller time, I think you all know this, because you were a part of it. But yet again, this didn't last long. And lots of reasons for it, because it became mainstream, everybody jumped on it, but clients have started questioning, is it actually right? I think a lot of misusage of the technology and platforms created a lot of also negative impact in terms of effectiveness, of the work. So it was followed up by a lot of, again, standardization. Only now it got more and more, because in the time of COVID, we obviously know content consumption grew, the need of content for clients became bigger and bigger, and we have to stand out in this seam of sameness. And this stagnation component is something that always fascinates me. Why are we going from a really creative push to something really boring again? We have a really interesting tension to go back to the devil we know. It creates an interesting space because clients know it, it's less scared, you can measure it, you can show what it works, we have our processes there for it, but we're not really progressing as an industry. We're not really moving forward, and we don't really get to interesting places if it comes to creativity. We all know this moment.
Generative AI. It uses AI to bring AI.
I'm not sure if this was your day today, but I've been in many conferences where this basically was the thing. Everybody talks about AI, and I'm just going to add to it, so that's not necessarily smart. But I'm going to try to make it a bit more interesting, because AI came about. And normally, if you saw the progression and the patterns, if a new technology comes out, something amazingly creative happens. Until this moment. This moment we started questioning AI from the get-go. As creatives, as an industry, we're all like, what is AI? What is it doing? And specifically, fuck, it's going to take over our jobs. It's going to ruin our entire industry. And that created that anxiety. I'll get there. And basically didn't allow us to use the advantage of AI. And this is obviously fully true, because it does have an immense impact. And you see it, there's a public debate about technology and how it informs our human ability. There is clear signals from, in this case, the Art Directors Guild, that actually stop training programs for art directions because the changes that are happening, they cannot really promise a career in this space. So it's true, right? There's a lot of effect happening, but we have to break the anxiety. We have to move beyond the anxiety, and what we in our company call, we need to at least create an excitement, the balance between anxiety and excitement, because indeed, AI is going to destroy our industry. It's going to look completely different in a couple of years from now. We all know it, we all feel it, I'm sure of it. It will change, but it specifically will change the space that I just called out, where we constantly default to, that creative stagnation moment. Because the cut downs, the clicks, these creative formats will be easier and easier created and automated with AI and the tools. And to be fair, AI is way better at it than us, because they have the ability to create way more versions, personalizations, moments. They can be more targeted. It can basically do a better job, and our clients will look at that because it's effectiveness, and it works, and it's cheaper. So we as creators have a moment now, and it's a bit of an inflection moment, to take this opportunity, this moment, and look at it from an opportunity, because the world in content and all of the marketing spaces are soon going to look pretty the same. And soon that space is going to be so crowded. And our audience is really good. Our audiences are great creators or curators of content, so they really know what they want and what to look, so you need to stand out. And that's where, if you ask me, the white canvas comes in game. Because this is a huge opportunity for us to start creating differentiation, because that's the core of our job. The core of our job is helping clients to differentiate, stand out, be seen, be known. And we're kind of focused on more the volume side of the business rather than the actual standing out, being unique. So AI can actually allow us to create a lot of great creativity, and kind of hope to give you some inspiration around what that is and what we could do, because I'm not seeing enough. I've been judging quite a lot of award shows this year, in Cannes and the other week in Las Vegas for LIAS. I can tell you, the work we do with AI is disappointing. There's not a lot of amazing creative expression of AI. There's not a lot of great usage of AI. And we all, again, focus on what it can do on the surface, generating visuals, generating copy, and we're going to play with it as advertising to make fun. But there's a way deeper opportunity to use the technology, to use the tools, to use the moment we have to create some really interesting work. And I've aligned around 4 areas. There are way many more, but I'll give you some examples. We can write new rules, we can create way bigger and more relevance, respond to life in a faster and more relevant moment, and create an active immersion between us, between the brand, and between the customer. And I think that's where you will find a huge moment for creativity. Sorry, this went too fast. I'm not that good with technology. Disappointing. A first example around write the rules. I think this is what fascinated me the most from all of these moments that bring new technology in play is you have an opportunity to create a first. And if you're a creative, that should be the most exciting thing ever. Because for the first time in your career, you can create something that nobody has done before. Where a lot of the work we've done is always a replication, and it could be better. But creating a first is the unique thing, so we need to be massively excited about this. This is a project we've done with NEP, and NEP is a broadcast company. They basically facilitate and create a lot of the infrastructure around live broadcasting on TV and online. And we have worked with them and started working with them during the pandemic when obviously everybody watched only TV and a lot of live broadcasting happened. And we worked with them to create more interactive events. So we became their partner for interactive layers on top of live broadcasting. And obviously push it to many great spaces. And we worked with them 2 years ago, started 2 years ago, for this project that is named Kiki, and it was really focused on an issue they saw specifically in Japan around inclusivity of their live broadcasting, and specifically for the deaf community. They haven't had the tool yet to, like we have today, which I like, have a live way to live translate and to do sign interpretation. So with the technology and with the work we've done with them, they asked us, hey, can you do something interesting and find an opportunity and a solution for our issue at hand, specifically in Japan. I'll show the video.
Japan is one of the most earthquake-prone countries in the world. That's why it has one of the most advanced early warning systems in the world. Designed to provide life-saving information in multiple languages, except one, sign language. Introducing Kiki, the world's first text-to-sign translator for emergency alerts. Created by NHK, Japan's public broadcaster, Kiki communicates just like a real human interpreter. Kiki was made to alert Japan's 300,000 deaf community members who use sign as their primary language. What makes translating sign challenging is that it relies on the interpretation of emotion, and it's not a word-for-word translation of plain text.
For example, in English you would say, how many sisters you have. But in ASL, you would say, sisters you how much.
We started by capturing 16,000 signed words, then introduced them into our first-of-its-kind translation engine. One that considers emotion, pausing, rhythm, and sign language's unique syntax, and translates plain text into real-time sign. So when a 7.6 magnitude earthquake struck on New Year's Day, Kiki delivered rapid, life-saving information when every second counted. While this is a great start for inclusivity, Kiki is designed to provide accessibility at scale. She can already be found guiding museum tours in Tokyo, and soon she'll be at airports and airlines across Japan. Next spring, she'll become the first virtual ambassador at Tokyo's Deaf Olympics. That's why we named her Kiki, a name that means hope. Hope for a better world.
We have an expert in the room, so he will probably know more about this than I do. But there's a huge complexity with sign language, and it's always been really hard to replicate that in a more virtual way. But because of the training of AI and the fact that we can actually now create models, even though there's a lot of training happening, there's a way more robust system that can actually do this more predictive and more real time. So that's sort of a whole new unlock for tools like this. And why is this interesting in more the advertising spaces? I think this creates new opportunities for new solutions for clients to stand out. New products in a way, this is a bit of a product or service, but it could also be done obviously in another space, where it's in this case, for instance, more for shopping, a more utilization tool or a more interesting tool to go into commerce and retail. And this is a project we're doing currently actively with Nordstrom, so it's a little bit early, we're not launching this yet, but we're really focused with Nordstrom on what this assistant shopping would look like. What is shopping in the new era now that you have way more ability to predict what someone likes, to create more personalized recommendations, but also to play a lot in an interesting space which is more getting your clothes virtually tried on with your customer. It's always a bit of a passive thing still. If you're shopping, you never know how clothing fits and sits. So what we are working on is a real-time, but also a real measurement tool that can actually get your clothing fit on your body. So it measures your body type, it analyzes it, and it can really one-to-one show how the fit would be and how it would look on you. Currently it's still only in stills and photography, but we're working on more of a video version. And this kind of areas is a really interesting space to push what's possible and create way more interesting connections between the customer and the brand, and pushes the brand forward. Also create a bigger reputation for a brand, make it more innovative. Another one where I want to focus on is respond to life. And I think this is an interesting space that I'm really passionate about, because a lot of our advertising is done on more sending messages, so one to many channels. This is our conversation, this is our story, hear it. But I think the biggest brand moments right now are the ones that actually happen more responsive to what's happening in the world. A brand that is really cultural relevant and really in the moment to be in the conversation or even create conversations. That tool is the most important tool for brands to be standing out, to be liked, to create brand love. So it's crucial that we actually are more focused on this. We've done a couple of cases, and this is a really interesting case where AI also comes into play. I'll show the case study and then I'll talk a little bit more about this. It's for Pony Malta. It's a beverage brand in Colombia. I'm not sure if you have it here actually. Pretty interesting, but it's a sponsor of an Olympic committee in Colombia to get younger kids play more. I'll show the case study, it explains everything.
38% of girls feel unsafe on sports fields, keeping them away from showing their talent, reducing the sporting spotlight of women in Colombia. All the same, more than 1,200 cameras are installed every year to reinforce security. It has been proven that criminals locate them and avoid committing crimes near them. Since there are still not enough cameras in sports places, let's take the sports places to where the cameras are. Pony Malta, official sponsor of the Colombian Olympic Committee and promoter of sport for 60 years, presents Watch Her Win. Spaces monitored by police security cameras transformed into safe training courts, showcasing top talent. Using artificial intelligence, we identified movement patterns that allowed us to select the best to create reels and take them on Twitch, where Olympic team coaches and recruiters from around the world could watch them 24 hours straight for a possible recruitment. Through Google Maps, the girls could find the nearest ones to try on.
Acá entrenamos seguras. Esa cámara podemos sentir siempre que una cancha puedo dar lo mejor de mí.
Estas estrategias nos ayudan a encontrar más talento femenino para seguir disminuyendo la brecha entre hombres y mujeres.
Esperamos verlas trayendo medallas olímpicas en el futuro para el país.
Es una herramienta que nos ayuda a fichar más talento emergente.
Watch her win. Let's put girls in a safe spotlight to shine like never before.
What's always interesting with these type of moments in culture is that most of the time it plays off in really small subcultures or pockets. Like this is a really local activation if you think about this. And by the way, what's good to know is we've created a lot of fields and play areas near these cameras, but were a view that actually had the cameras on them. And if you would play there as a girl, you would definitely know that you were being recorded because there's a whole privacy component to this that's a bit scary. So just a side note there. But the interesting thing about these moments is that it happens on a small local stage, and it's hard for brands to bring it to a mass media, right? To make your brand really known in a bigger public. But what we've done here is because we were analyzing the data and specifically the films, we were able to pull out and identify the right talent and broadcast it on Twitch to create a lot of community management around this and a lot of focus from different viewers. So we've created a tool that actually allowed to create a local, cultural, relevant activation into a more a mass sort of viewing and more a bigger expression and exposure. And these kind of tools are quite interesting if you think about the AI component again, because it allows to create a lot of automated power in the background to scale, to create more visibility, to identify automatically what's happening. And it's a huge unlock for some really great creative ideas like this one. And I mentioned about these moments in World, and these moments happen really frequent, and to be able to actually dive on it, we have to also change our creative process a little bit. We need to work differently because it isn't anymore a process of creating concepts, strategy concepts, testing, and go live. These kind of cycles are way too long for today's world. We need to be more real time, we need to be more ready to react and know what's happening. So a big part of what we're creating at Monks is what we call Monks Flow. It's basically what I call, it's more of an intelligence backbone. It's an intelligence backbone for us as creatives and as creators to, on the one hand, get more insights, and on the other hand, help us to generate the work faster, smarter, and better. So it's part intelligence, it's part generation and automation. What we're trying to do internally is to transform a little bit how we work with, for instance, an insight engine that allows to get more real-time insight to our creatives and our strategists, and allow us to be very faster with being there in the right moment so you can be in culture. The video you just showed was a product that we're creating together with Google, which is called Real-Time Room, which basically does just that. For our clients and for our own teams, it allows to create more one-on real-time insights in what's happening in culture. Next one is real relevance. I think this is really interesting if you think about personalization. There's a lot of personalization happening, but I don't think we're creative enough with personalization. It's now more a performance-driven tool to get the right message in front of the right audience and get more performance happening. But there's a huge opportunity to create more personal storytelling on a bigger, more impressive way. I'll show you a case of The Weeknd, where we've created actually before the big AI wave was already there. But we were focused on creating a more personal, intimate relationship and moment between The Weeknd himself and his fans when he launched his new album. And in this Alone With Me experience, it was actually talking to you and using a lot of the data at the time. We only had limited access for data, but Spotify obviously have a rich amount of data. So we used Spotify data to create this more personal conversation between him and you. I'll show the case video. I'll go from there.
On March 20, The Weeknd released his new album After Hours, which quickly topped Spotify's charts. The album introduced an even darker side to The Weeknd.
The album name comes from all the emotions and thoughts and feelings that I had late at night.
But then the music world hit pause.
Many shows are either being canceled or postponed.
Cancel South by Southwest.
Since fans couldn't see the Weeknd tour, we brought the Weeknd to his fans by combining deep learning technology with listening data for the first time ever. We created a digital experience called Alone With Me, an AI of the Weeknd that seems to know everything about you.
Hey Tom,
Even your name.
thanks so much for listening to my music. It means a lot to me. I see that you're in the top 1% of my listeners. That's unreal. Damn, you and I go way back. You've been listening to me on Spotify since 2014. I remember those days. Man, you've listened to After Hours more than 50 times. That's your favorite song off After Hours. I respect that. Be careful. You can get lost in it.
The AI was trained with existing footage and recordings of Abel, along with Spotify users' data to generate millions of outputs, creating a lifelike Weeknd that speaks directly to each fan. And once he's done talking, he plays a bit of his music in a unique WebGL-driven listening experience. The experience connected his fans in a way that's never been done. Over 600,000 fans visited the site in the first 48 hours, and the Weeknd knew every one of them.
So what's actually interesting is that this is done 2-3 years ago, before we had the access to a lot of the more power tools that we currently have. But it was really successful at the time, and I haven't seen a lot of these kind of experience afterwards, which kind of disappointed me, because I think with AI and the opportunities now, there's way more interesting films, interesting experiences we can create at this level, and potentially even better. So it's interesting to see what's happening here. And again, storytelling can be done in a different way. An interesting tool that we're using to get closer to our audience and understand more at scale is, again, part of Monks.Flow, what we call Persona Flow. And it's basically a synthesization of audiences. We create personas, synthesized personas that you can real-time chat with, get more interesting insights, and at least use and help you to create more relevant creative and concepts. We're doing this together with actual research companies, so a lot of data is potentially available on ChatGPT and all of those tools, but what makes this unique is that actually the data is the research data that we also use, and many of our clients use to actually do the big research around audiences, but now we make it accessible real time. The easy thing is just have conversations, get to learn and understand more before you get your brief in. What we've recently added is actually what I think for creatives is a more interesting tool, is a way to test your creative. I think we're not going to get into a space where we should, as creatives, completely rely on data from day one to create creativity. A lot of creativity is still, the magic of creativity is still creating something a little bit with good talent, or mainly with good talent, and obviously then using some resources to get information. But what I do like a lot is the ability to test what we've created, to check if actually an audience responds to it. Because you normally have user groups and user panels, and it takes a lot of time, but this is something you can do on the fly, together with your client even, to make sure that whatever you create and present to your client is also based on actual findings. It helps us to present our ideas and to get our ideas sold easier to our clients, because they normally say, I don't like that, I don't like that, but it's easier to sell it in if you say, but your audience actually thinks differently. So it's a really important tool for us internally to get our teams on, because it allows us to, in the end, get better creativity sold to our clients. And eventually what this will do is it will connect itself to also a whole pipeline where we can have it create a lot of content for us, or at least to be a sparring partner. So briefs will be added in here, it will be analyzed, and they will help us to create good, interesting first concepts and creative based on that. That's further in the day. Currently, it can only do the reviewing. The last one on this is active immersion. I think this is my favorite one because I'm a big fan of interactivity. I think we're not using the power of digital enough because we create a lot of passive work, static work. But interactivity is a really amazing tool to get closer to your audience. We can do amazing stuff with it. A case that I think is still relatively simple, is scratching the surface, but it shows the true power of it, is the Burger King $1 Million Whopper. We've created this last year, or this year actually, with Burger King. And it's pretty simple. It asks the audience, create your own Whopper. Whatever Whopper you want to create, do it. We'll have a nice tool for you. It shows the Whopper in real time, and the best Whopper wins $1 million and will become part of our menu. The execution of some simple tasks like this is actually where we make a difference. I'll show you the video because it speaks for itself, literally.
So, you're here to make a Whopper. Well, I'm your trusty AI companion, Grillium. Now, how are you going to top your Whopper? Ooh, now we're talking. That could be $1 million combination. Wow, look at what you've made. No Whopper is complete without a world-class ad. Let's crown your Whopper creation.
This is my Ritmo Whopper, with cotton candy and other toppings, with some gummy bear and licorice in there. Try and top that if you dare.
BK, have it your way. You're wrong.
How are you gonna top it?
And what's interesting about this one is that actually everything that normally is scary for clients in these kind of campaigns, which is, are people going to abuse this? Can we moderate it? What will our content look like if it goes out there in the world? It's something that we were able to cover off with at least some of the technology behind the doors, because it, in real time, basically moderated everything that the audience inputted. Obviously, some input were already banned at the beginning. And in real time, it created all of these assets. So besides the fact that I was amazed by the amount of people that did this, almost 3 million burgers or Whoppers were made and generated. It also created an accelerated effect for all the content that was created behind this. So we saw a huge push on social content created by the audience itself. For the audience, it was pretty magical because suddenly they had their personal Whopper in there, they could add everything in it. And that effect is something that I think we sometimes underestimate. There's lots of UGC campaigns, and that's more and more, I think, or less and less creative. But you can control a lot if you do it really well. You can make your own tools for your audience to play around, and your brand will be actually protected. And that's quite interesting that we create after this. It's now becoming part of, we call it the brand model. So we're creating the Grillion, the voice you just heard, will actually become a real-time brand ambassador you can speak with. They're going to use in a lot of different touch points. So even in their different stores, you can go in, and it will become the voice of Burger King, to make sure that there's more personalization happening between that interaction of every touch point of Burger King. And that's, I think, something really powerful, because that allows you to be constantly always on and be in conversation with your audience. I said 4, I actually have the 5th one because I'm a true fan of craft, and I think we have a unique opportunity where on the one hand we say everything will be generated, everything will look the same, etc., but actually what it does, it will give us easier access to craft, to the way our content will look. Because if we use it in the right way, budgets aren't necessarily that dependent anymore if you think about what the output would look like. I always have a lot of creators coming to me and say, yeah, that project is cool, but they have all the budget for it, so it looks cool automatically. In this case, I think that's an element that is not necessarily the defining factor anymore. You can create a lot of amazing work, and our teams internally are working really nicely with a lot of the opportunities. On the one hand, generating just content in a really good way, but also using it in an interesting pipeline, a lot of our post people, to get faster, more interesting characters created, or even shoots on the top right, where we create a lot of AI-generated surroundings and environments as part of a set and a shoot. It is really amazing to see where we're getting. Like, this is for BMW, and like the car industry is really critical if you think about product. It needs to be accurate, needs to look 100% right, it needs to look really good and premium. But with BMW, we're creating this interesting pipeline and content creation to make sure that the craft of all of the visuals and images look really pixel perfect. And if you look at this, it's getting really into the lifestyle space. And we're using it also at BMW to improve our content, our big shoots that we're creating, big films. In this case, it's for little Michaela. I'll show you the film. I think it's an amazing film that shows how far we can push with little budget. So this was not $1 million budget, but this was just basically half of it. And we pushed what was possible with a story where we brought a virtual influencer, little Michaela, to life within an actual film and let it be the protagonist in a world that blends the virtual and reality world. What I really like about it is that, yeah, it's CGI and it's post, and I had a discussion with our ECD here. You know, like, yeah, it's just normal, right? We've done it for years. That's true. But the interesting thing is we can be really ambitious now because we can get faster and better to this type of result without the $1 million budgets. And it creates our work, again, more differentiating, and it allows us to stand out. And then this is a huge opportunity if you have the right team. So basically, this white canvas will give us a lot of opportunities as long as we look at it like that, and we push our ambition to what creativity can do. It's not easy. Like, I also constantly, every probably week, once or twice, have moments of anxiety, just because the progression is happening so fast. The reality is so heavy, And I just don't know a lot of it myself. Like, it's hard to keep up. But how I learned to at least get this excitement happening is two big areas. One, it's a knowledge component. Not knowing what's happening is creating the biggest anxiety for people and creatives in your teams or yourself probably. I had the advantage of having a lot of people around me that actually know a lot about this, and they kind of pinged me and said, look at this, look at that, and I got in touch with them and tried to learn a little bit more what's happening. But that's not something that a lot of our people in our company, with more than 7,000 people, it's hard to create, but also at scale. So what we've created from the beginning of this year was I was trying to recreate kind of that effect that I have with meeting with these people and create a weekly 50-minute stand-up. We call it 50 Minutes of AI, which is just for everybody in our company to tune in, and you'll get the latest information about everything AI. The news, new tools, new great projects out there in the world. News from us internally, projects that we've done just to get people a lot of excitement and inspired about what's happening, and a little bit of competition. It's also good to drive competition internally to get people to be the best. We're creatives, that's what we like, to be the best. And just a lot of good conversations happening. And with that also, one of my favorite parts is homework, just to get people using the tools and playing around with it, because it's a big element of it. And this has been a super big success. It's a great community component, it's a great collaboration component. It's also a nice playful thing. This is something we do every week, a nice new AI-generated thing. We're just fun with our own content. We generate music for it, just to get people to have fun with it and play around with it. So this is helping a lot from an information perspective. And then you can really trust creatives, trust us, trust your team, your fellows, because it's still an interesting space where creativity can create solutions for hard things. And that's actually what we do as an industry, right? We are creatives that come up with good solutions to sell things for our clients or get our science gold. And I want a specific shout out to our Sao Paulo team. I know they're here, they're there. Our Sao Paulo crew, actually from day one since we started here, have been an amazing force in doing just crazy shit. Just fucking about with anything possible in the world, or even if it wasn't possible, they made it possible, from physical and virtual technology, all combining it into weird, great experiences, great content, and even shooting chicken sandwiches to space. It was all possible. Really what I call proper white canvas stuff. But what's the most amazing about this team is they actually made us really pivotal in moments of crisis. We had the COVID, and COVID obviously was a moment that everybody was in shock and awe. And they realized, oh, we cannot do really good events and creative experiences anymore because we're not with people. But we have a tool that we use to do this live broadcasting and interaction between screen and the physical installation. We can actually use that to create virtual events. And because of this tool, they made it more sort of a robust tool. We were able to, in a moment where a big part of our business declined, step into a whole new business, which was virtual events. And we've organized over 60, 70 events globally because of the tool, because of this team just being creative, finding new solutions where it was possible. And the same with Monksflow. The team here was actually the start of Monksflow, which is a software and service kind of solution, and those normally take a lot of time to be created and developed. But because of their mindset, their experimentation mindset, we took a leap and basically started running, and they were able to get the first groundwork done for something that we're now using internally, and also something that we're making, or is making us quite differentiated in the market. So a big, interesting explanation of what creativity can do, and how we as a company constantly look for how can we be relevant. And this is the main question we ask ourselves initially it was every year, now it's every month because things change so fast. But are we still relevant? Are we on the front lines? Are we doing the thing that is relevant for today's world? Because the change is happening so fast, and as an industry, we're kind of stagnant. We're not necessarily always there. So our opportunity is to move forward, but us creatives, I think, is also the big opportunity. Choose a white canvas over a black mirror if new technology comes up, embrace it, because I think if there's one thing I would love to share with you and have you remember when you walk away is we as creatives aren't just passive viewers of what's happening. We're the ones that can take this tool, can take this new technology and become the architect of what it will be. We are the ones that actually find the solutions, because this will give us a path forward to what our next version of creativity will be, and don't let it be a job destroyer. Thanks so much. Enjoy the rest of the festival.